Welcome to this introduction on human technology interaction. In this web lecture, we will look at the goals of interaction design. The main goal is to develop usable products. That means products that are easy to learn without studying manuals, that are effective for their purpose, and that are a pleasure to use. The latter is also called the user experience and will be the most difficult part of creating interfaces. How do we actually achieve these goals? Well, first of all, we are going to follow good interface design principles. But no matter how good we think about our interface, we will actually need to involve real users in the design process, because they can tell us what it feels like to actually use the product using early prototypes that we can evaluate, and then we improve the prototype, evaluate again, and we keep iterating this until our users are happy with the final design. I will first illustrate the evolution and changes in interfaces with a simple example. Here we see two pictures of accordions, my favorite musical instrument, and we can see how they have been evolved over the years, right, and how that has influenced the market. In the early development of accordions, the piano keyboard has been used a lot by piano players because it was easy to learn given what they already knew. People learning the accordion from scratch use a button keyboard. The button keyboard has an interesting property. If we look closely at the keyboard, we see that it has 5 rows of keys. Well, with only 3 rows, you can play all the notes. And if you want to play the song in a different key, you just move your hand and use the exact same fingering. Now, a Russian professor, Kravtsov, came up with a new design that achieves the same goal with a keyboard with only 4 rows. And Reuter placed another design called the uniform or universal keyboard on an accordion, and it achieves the same goal of playing in every key with the same fingering using only 3 rows. One could argue that 3 rows is better than 4 rows, is better than 5 rows. So you would expect the market to now be flooded with Kravtsov and Reuter accordions. But it's not. And the reason is that people are resistant to change. The piano and button keyboards are popular, and they will remain popular because people don't want to learn yet another system. The same happens with computer interfaces. The Dvorak keyboard layout is provably better than the QWERTY keyboard used in most parts of the world. Yet, it's not successful, right, because we keep using what we are used to. What do we need to design? Well, that depends on 3 main questions, the who, what, and where question. Who are our users? If we make something for children, for adults, for elderly people, the design needs to be different. And what activities are being carried out? When we create a toy, a battery-operated toy for children, the child playing with the toy has less force and smaller hands than the adult who will change the batteries. So typically, the battery compartment is difficult to open because we don't want the child playing with the toy to do that by accident. We also need to take into account where the interaction is taking place, in what environment. Something used in a silent library, right, needs to be different from an interface used outdoors in a busy city with a lot of environment noise. So we need to optimize the interactions so that they match the activities and the needs of our users. that leads to measurable, objective usability goals that we check for in our evaluation. First of all, interfaces have to be effective to use. If we create software to file your taxes, it must be possible to file your taxes using the software. Sounds obvious, yet ineffective tools exist everywhere. It must also be efficient, meaning that few user interactions are needed to accomplish a task. Think back of the do what I want principle that I showed in the very first introduction to this course, and where for an action that for the user is atomic, we only want one user interface element. Interfaces need to be safe to use. If you make a small error, it should only have small consequences. You press the backspace button, a character is erased, no real harm done. We don't want a button that, when we press it, will launch a missile without any confirmation. So we need to decide, right, when is it necessary to give users the option to reconsider. Yes, I do want it. No, this was a mistake, don't do it. Systems need to have good utility. Look back at a tax software. A good tax filing software should allow you to compute, for instance, how much taxes you owe before you actually file them. It's not a requirement to be effective, but it's a matter of making it really have good utility. Interfaces should be easy to learn. And we will, at the end of this course, give the prototype that you develop to a different student to play with it without studying the manual that you also have to write. Most products are used by people who have never even opened the manual. But even when we learn how to use a software or another product, we also need to remember how that was. Yes, I know I can learn how to operate the washing machine in our house, right? But I do it maybe once a year. Do I still remember how this goes, right, after coming back? Probably not. Right? Well, then it's not easy enough to remember, and we will see how we can help users in recalling, right, how to use the interface. Then there is the user experience, and that's the most difficult part of user interface design because it is subjective. How do people feel about using the product? Is it a pleasure? On YouTube, you will find lots of videos that are so-called unboxing videos. And people have bought a new product, it arrived with UPS or with the post office, and they start filming how they open up the box, right, and look at their product the first time. This is part of the experience already, even though they haven't yet handled the device itself. Every product, so including packaging, every product that is used by someone has a user experience. And like, if it's a pain to open the packaging of something, right, the pleasure is already partly ruined. Right? So it too has to be paid attention to. Right? Unfortunately, we cannot design the user interface, the user experience. We can only design for a user experience, give prototypes to users, and ask them what they feel. And we shouldn't criticize. If they say, no, I don't like this, and we shouldn't argue that they should find it pleasant or enjoyable. We should ask them what we need to change. Our language actually has lots of terms that refer to user experiences. And lots of words that express some form of excitement, engagement, pleasure, challenges in a positive way. And we also have words that indicate that something is wrong, if it's frustrating or boring. So we're going to do a first small individual assignment where you are going to criticize your environment. You will find a bad user interface element in your environment. It could be a light switch, something on your bicycle, something in the kitchen, something that is not enjoyable to use. And that can be because maybe it's confusing. You keep on pressing the wrong button because it's in the wrong place. Right? It may fail some of these usability criteria. Maybe it's too hard to learn, or maybe you forget how to learn. It may not just provide a good user experience. There may be nothing tangible that is wrong with it, but it's just not pleasant. You should take a picture, or even better, make a small movie of using it, and then submit it to Sakai before the end of week 1. This concludes the introduction of the Human Technology Interaction course. Thank you for participating.
I want to charge my notebook. Why is that not possible here? What does that mean? Oh, this is a different doorknob.